Sorry, guys, I just have to get this out of my way and find my. Okay. Can you see those, Megan?
Yeah, I think it's just not in like presenting mode. There you go.
Oh, we're way ahead of the game here.
Just
Oh,
a little sneak peek
dude,
into what's coming.
I'm letting you see the slides before it's time. Okay, let's kick this off. All right. Obviously, you guys, the reason we're here tonight is we wanted to kind of provide some value around sleep. For myself and the clients that I work with, that's one of the things that I hear the most is people, women specifically, I work specifically with women, they're really starting to struggle with their sleep. And it almost feels like every passing year brings more challenges with their sleep. And I definitely felt like that a few years ago. I was just like waking up. I was getting to sleep okay, but I was waking up in the middle of the night and could not get back to sleep. So actually in 2023, that was my New Year's goal was to figure out how to create a good, consistent sleep schedule. So just to I know that we hear a lot about sleep now, but I also can remember hearing, I'll sleep when I'm dead. And I really didn't feel like sleep was that important. So I thought that we would go over, sorry, I'm just trying to move these screens here. Sorry, guys. Can't see my words. Okay. I wanted to go over some of the reasons why sleep is just so important for our health. Quality sleep is really one of the main drivers for our overall health and well-being. Adequate sleep supports our physical health by aiding in recovery, immune function, and metabolism regulation. Lack of sleep really plays a part in hormone dysregulation. So I know hormone is such a buzzword right now wherever you look, but from a nutritional therapy point of view, when I look at symptoms of why women are really struggling with hormones, sleep is typically one of the root causes. Because what happens when you're lacking sleep, your hunger hormones get all out of whack, your stress hormones get all out of whack. And when they are out of balance, all of our other hormones just become unbalanced as well. Sleep promotes mental well-being, right? So if we are not getting enough sleep, our mood is off, our cognitive function is off, and our emotional resilience. We're more emotional, right? We see kids who lack sleep, right? What happens to them? It's the same for us. Poor sleep is linked to an increased risk of chronic conditions such as obesity, diabetes, and heart disease. And that kind of goes back to what I was saying before. When everything in your body starts to become unbalanced, these diseases, inflammation becomes more prominent. Sleep deficiency can impair decision making, productivity, and overall quality of life. And prioritizing a good sleep hygiene, such as maintaining a consistent sleep schedule and creating a conducive sleep environment, is crucial for optimal health and well-being. So tonight, what we really wanted to do is share with you some misconceptions about sleep. I know that some of the things we're going to share in a minute, I was doing in hopes of helping my sleep. And it turns out I was actually making things worse. So first we're going to start with some misconceptions, and then we're going to give you sort of the tips that have really helped both of us improve our sleep. So I'm going to hand it over to Megan, and she's going to start with our first misconception.
All right, misconception number one, you can catch up on lost sleep over the weekend. So as I go through these misconceptions, I think there's 6 of them. I would love to know in the comments, like which one specifically speaks to you. I know that this is sort of like along the lines of a phrase that I used to always say, and I would kind of like push off sleep, and sleep is for the weak. And I really didn't fully understand how important sleep was to our health until I learned some of those things that Michelle just spoke to about on the previous slide. And while it may seem tempting to sleep in on the weekends to compensate for weekday sleep deficits, this strategy is not very effective. And I think that we've all kind of been there. We've had busy weeks where maybe we're staying up way too late, we're waking up early to get off to work, and our thought is, well, this weekend I'm gonna like stay in bed until as long as I can. And if you have the luxury of being able to do that, maybe you're sleeping in until 9, 10, 11 a.m. and then maybe staying up later on Saturday night because you slept all morning, and then same thing on Sunday, and then you're back to sort of feeling sleep deprived through the week. That's not helping you, obviously, but irregular sleep patterns, including varying bedtimes and wake up times, are associated with poor sleep quality and increased daytime sleepiness. So it's not effective. If you are thinking that catching up on sleep on the weekend is like undoing any damage that you did during the week, it's not. You really want to keep those same types of like wake up times and bed times the same the whole entire week and keep it consistent. So what that means is you're probably going to need to look at your weekdays and maybe do some readjusting. Are you staying up too late? What can you do to kind of work on that? And that is some things that we're going to talk about tonight on the call. Irregular sleep schedules disrupt the body's internal clock, leading to metabolic disruptions and increased risk of obesity and metabolic disorders. Consistent sleep schedules where bedtime and wake up times remain relatively consistent are associated with better sleep quality and overall health outcomes. And then misconception number 2. Watching TV helps you fall asleep faster. I'd love to know in the chats if this one speaks to you, because I know that I talk to a lot of women, and even my kids try to tell me like, oh, I'll sleep better if I can watch TV before I go to bed. And contrary to popular belief, exposure to screens before bedtime, including TVs, smartphones, and computers, can negatively impact sleep quality. So something that I know Michelle and I speak about for sure inside of our wellness communities where we support our customers and clients, we talk about something called the 3-2-1 method. And if you're familiar with the 3-2-1 method, go ahead and put that in the chat box. But this is something that Brendan Burchard, who is a personal development guru, he taught us this several months ago. And the method is 3 hours before bed, no food. 2 hours before bed, no work. And 1 hour before bed, no screens. And this is something that we preach, and we really help our customers to develop habits around this because it can be really beneficial. Exposure to electronic screens before bedtime is associated with delayed sleep onset, shorter sleep duration, and poorer sleep quality in children and adolescents. And the blue light emitted by screens suppress the production of melatonin, which is a hormone that regulates the sleep-wake cycle, making it more difficult to fall asleep. So hopefully now you're seeing the importance, and maybe you will also try out that 3-2-1 method. Misconception number 3, menopause doesn't affect sleep. So I'm not there yet, but I know if you are going through menopause or have gone through menopause, my guess is you're going to know that this is absolutely a misconception. And menopause is very often associated with changes in sleep patterns and increased sleep disturbances, including hot flashes, night sweats, and insomnia. Hormonal fluctuations during menopause can disrupt the body's internal clock, leading to changes in sleep architecture and decreased sleep quality. Studies have shown that up to 61% of postmenopausal women experience sleep disturbances with symptoms ranging from difficulty falling asleep to waking up too early. And misconception number 4, sleeping pills are the only solution to insomnia. And while sleeping pills can be effective for short-term management, hopefully everyone hears me there, short-term management, they are not the only solution. And long-term, they could have risks and side effects to them. There are a ton of natural options out there, including a natural sleep supplement called Last Thing. And we're going to chat about that later on in the call. And Michelle is going to go into detail about many other very natural things that we can do in order to create really good sleeping habits. And I'm reading the comments, menopause and sleep do not mix. It's really, really important to I am not a doctor. I am a registered nurse, though, so there is some credibility to what I have to say. But also, if you are having such sleep disturbances that you are needing to reach for sleeping pills, I would encourage you to really try and figure out like the root cause to why you're not sleeping, and definitely try all the things that we are going to be chatting about tonight before you just, go straight for the prescription drug. And then misconception number 5, a glass of wine helps you sleep better. How many people think that is true and often will purposely have a glass of wine just to relax them and help take the edge off and help them fall asleep. And while alcohol may initially make you feel sleepy, it can disrupt the quality of your sleep later on in the night. Alcohol consumption before bed can fragment sleep, and it reduces REM sleep, and it contributes to sleep disturbances such as snoring and sleep apnea. Alcohol can also exacerbate sleep-related breathing disorders and increase the risk of nighttime awakenings, leading to poorer overall sleep quality. And misconception number 6, eating before bed won't disrupt my sleep. So contrary to popular belief, consuming a heavy meal shortly before bedtime can negatively impact sleep quality. Eating large or high-fat meals close to bedtime can lead to digestive discomfort, indigestion, acid reflux, and disrupted sleep. High-fat foods take longer to digest, which can increase the likelihood of experiencing nighttime awakenings and disturbances during the night. Consuming large meals before bed may also elevate blood sugar levels and interfere with the body's ability to transition into restorative sleep. Something that we have learned thanks to one of our incredible nutrition programs that we have access to inside of the body platform is the whole philosophy of dinner and done. I don't know if any of you have heard that little one-liner before, but it's something that has stuck with me for years, dinner and done. And it is really something that I preach to my clients, but I also preach to myself and, even try to with my kids, although, sometimes if a child does need a little snack before bed, I'm a-okay with it, providing they actually are hungry, because I find that even for myself, sometimes I will think I'm hungry, like almost right around like 8:30, 9 o'clock, when my body's starting to want to wind down. I'll get this overwhelming urge of like, I need a snack, I'm hungry. But really, I have to like stop and listen to my body. And it's like, no, actually, I'm tired and my body just needs me to like chill, get into bed, go through my evening routine and not eat. When you start to understand that food is fuel and things like carbohydrates, we eat them to give us energy. So why would we think that before bed we should eat when that's fuel and giving us energy? We don't want fuel and energy before we go to bed. So really trying to stick with that 3-2-1 method that I talked about earlier. So 3 hours before bed, not having any food, it's going to really, really help your sleep quality. And even having like a lighter meal at your dinner. So another part of our nutrition program that we follow and we help our clients with is that it's called the plate it method. And so we teach them what our breakfast should look like, what our lunch should look like, and what our dinner should look like. And primarily our dinner should be half a plate full of protein and half the plate full of veggies. We don't need carbohydrates at dinner time because, like I said, we eat them for energy. We don't need energy at dinner time, providing that we're going to be winding down and heading off to bed. So limiting the carb at dinner time, which I don't always do, but sometimes I ask myself, like, do I really need this carb? Maybe not, maybe I do. But it can help really with your sleep. And for sure, having those 3 hours before bed with no food is going to improve your quality of sleep big time.
Awesome. Okay, I'm up. So I'm going to give you 4 main tips that have really helped me with my sleep. And I'm going to start with this. None of these were easy for me, like none of them. They were like really difficult. But I just decided that I would take one thing at a time. So like I said, in 2023, New Year's Day, I'm like, what is going to be my goal? And my sleep had gotten so bad to the point that, you guys, I was waking up around 2 o'clock every single morning, and I was kind of hunkering down in my closet and working on my phone for a couple hours because I was wide awake. And then, of course, you go back to bed because you're feeling like, oh my God, I'm so stressed out. I'm not going to have any sleep. I'm going to be not going to be able to do anything tomorrow. So you finally get back to sleep and you can hardly get up when you're supposed to get up. And it's like this whole loop, right? Which I'm sure many of you are feeling. P.S. I cannot see the chat. So if you're talking to me, I am so sorry. I will get to it after. I can't see it because of the screens. So I just want to like preface this by saying none of this is, they're really simple tips. Like they are simple, but I am not suggesting that sometimes changing habits that we have had for years and years isn't difficult. So I don't want you to think that either of us think like, come on, you should be able to get this together tonight and start sleeping well. Not at all, because some of these are really ingrained in us and they're going to take some time. So sleep tip number 1 is establishing a consistent sleep schedule. We all have something called the circadian rhythm. And this is how our body monitors our hormones, cortisol and melatonin. As Megan mentioned earlier, melatonin is a hormone, and it's a hormone that starts rising the closer we get to bedtime, and it helps calm us down and helps get us ready for bed. And then cortisol, which we all hear about in a negative way, but the truth is we need some cortisol. That's what wakes us up in the morning. So if you are really dysregulated, meaning you're on Tuesday, you go to bed at 10. On Wednesday, you go to bed at 1 a.m. On Thursday, you go to bed at 2 a.m. Like when you're completely dysregulated and you're getting up at different times, like Megan said, you wait for the weekend and you sleep in until 11, and just your bedtime and wake time is all over the map. Your body can't regulate itself. Its internal clock is confused, which is creating this imbalance with those 2 hormones, which then creates this dysregulation in your sleep. And it's why you start having really nasty sleeps. So if you can try and create a consistency in your sleep and wake time, morning and night. So as much as I know this is annoying to hear, because I remember thinking, well, I love being able to sleep in on Saturday and Sunday. Like I love being just like lounging there. I don't do that anymore. I actually get up most of the time within an hour and an hour and a half every single morning at the same time. And then I try to get to bed at the same time as well. And that has created a way better sleep for me consistently over time. So that is tip number 1, keeping your sleep schedule really consistent. So starting to get into a rhythm of when you can really realistically get yourself to bed and try and wake up in the morning at the same time. Now, one little tip to add to this, which is like a bonus. This is like a bonus tip. Try and get some sunlight on your face in the morning. This is going to help with your circadian rhythm. It's going to wake your body up. And then try, if you can, to see a little bit of that sunset. Now, I know we're not all going to be around a beautiful sunset, but when the day is ending, to get outside and actually get some of that nighttime sky on your face, this is also going to help your melatonin, which is your sleep hormone. So that's kind of like a bonus added tip on this number 1. Okay, sleep tip number 2, And I actually think this is kind of fun when you get into it. I was right in, this was my favorite tip when I was really trying to increase my sleep, was creating this like bedtime routine. In fact, it was a big joke at our house. We started eating a little bit earlier and I started like heading up at the stairs at 6:30 and my husband would be like, "Oh, are we starting our bedtime routine already?" Because I had all of these things that I started to do. So I kind of have some fun with it. So creating some things that you're doing at night that are going to help your body relax. This is also going to help your melatonin. So some suggestions, some stuff that I do, I have a oil thing, like an essential oil. What are those things called? I can't even remember. Doesn't matter. You know what I mean? The air things. I put some essential oils in there. I do a whole skincare thing. Sometimes I'll go in front of my red light. I might one night do some meditation or listen to some calming music. I'll read a book. I'll journal. You're getting yourself like calm in a calm mindset, a calm atmosphere, a calm environment, having it darker. So turning off the bright lights. I actually put dimmers in my whole house. So my bedroom has dimmers. So I always have those lights really low. Sometimes creating an environment when you're actually sleeping is really helpful. So I know this drives my husband crazy, but I need it quite cool in the bedroom. It is proven that people sleep better when the room is a cooler temperature. You could have blackout blinds so the light isn't coming in. So just really creating that atmosphere that's encouraging sleep. So the opposite would be like a TV blaring, the bright lights on, and you know all the chaos happening at night. Now, I want to say there could be some people here or listening to the recording that have small kids. And, you know, I really believe there's seasons in our life where some things are just going to be more challenging. So if you are struggling with your sleep and you literally have four kids between the ages of 2 and 6, 2 and 8, like it all depends on the kid, right? This just isn't probably the season that you're going to have perfect sleep. And I think you need to give yourself some grace. Maybe you can take on some of these tips, but probably creating a relaxing bedtime routine isn't one of the ones that you're going to be able to take on. And that's okay. Right? Like we both, Megan and I have been there. In fact, sometimes my 12-year-old still can create chaos inside my relaxing bedtime routine. So just like take this all with a grain of salt and take the pieces that you can actually implement. Sleep tip number 3, and this is probably the most important. You know, Megan talked about this, that this blue light, this scrolling, this screen time, the TV, the iPads, the like being on our phone at night, not only is it just bad for our mindset, that is not relaxing. You know, every single time you swipe up on your phone, you're making judgments. You're really it's really not a relaxing thing. We tell ourselves it is, you know, we tell ourselves scrolling on social media is entertainment or we're looking for inspiration, but the truth is we're often making judgment calls every single time we're scrolling through all this stuff on social media. And don't get me wrong, we love social media. We build businesses on social media. We absolutely love it, but there's a time and a place for it. And at night typically is when we need our body to calm down. So when you're scrolling, you're actually increasing your cortisol when you're making all those judgments. So that's one piece of it. But the other piece is blue light actually affects your melatonin. Again, melatonin is a hormone, a natural hormone inside of your body. And the blue light actually goes in and alters it and creates this environment that your melatonin now thinks it's daytime. So when your melatonin is supposed to be rising and helping you actually fall asleep, it is now confused because it's got all this blue light glaring at it. So it doesn't do its job and it's going to keep you awake. Worse than that, I asked this question on my social media today. How long does it typically take you to fall asleep? And ideally, it should take us about 10 to 20 minutes to fall asleep. That's like the perfect timeline. If you're falling asleep within like 30 seconds, that typically means your melatonin is off. Your cortisol is putting you to sleep really quickly, but you're going to wake up in 2 to 3 hours and can't get back to sleep. And that's actually what I heard in the comments when I asked that on my Facebook page, that that's exactly what happens. They're falling right asleep, like within a minute, 30 seconds, they're zonked right out. And that's typically a sign that you're very overtired and your melatonin is really imbalanced. And blue light is probably the biggest disruptor with our melatonin. So if you can do anything, it's adopting that 3-2-1 that Megan talked about earlier, that Brendan Bouchard, who is our mindset guru inside of Body, has taught us. And that number two, is it number three, two, or one? One of them is no blue light. One for one, I think it's one actually. So 1 hour before bed, getting that phone away. You guys, this is still hard for me. I am not going to come on here and say like I am perfect at this. I can tell you a couple nights ago, I was still scrolling right before I put my head on the pillow. So I am not saying I'm perfect at this, but it's really one that is going to disrupt your sleep the most. Okay, and sleep tip number 4, and I actually think, it runs a close tie with the blue light, and it's being really aware of your nutrition. The dinner and done is probably the best habit that you can get into, not only for your sleep, but just for your body, your metabolism, your hormone regulation. We do not need food at night. We do not need energy at night. We need to go to sleep. And I think what people aren't aware of, there's a lot of jobs that our body does for us when we're sleeping. It regulates our hormones. It gets rid of cancerous cells. It detoxifies. It does a lot when it can, when we're sleeping. But unfortunately, for many, many, many people, that you're never getting into a deep REM sleep. And that is when all of that work gets to be done. So if you don't get into that sleep, your body can't do what it wants to do for you. Our body does not want us to feel be unbalanced. It doesn't want us to have disease. It doesn't want us to be inflamed. And it will actually fix those problems for us if we're treating it well, first of all, but also it will do that while we are sleeping. But unfortunately, we have all these lifestyle habits that aren't allowing anyone to get into this deep sleep. So all of those things I just talked about, the blue light, all the bright lights, all that stuff is not creating the environment of good sleep. But one of the biggest problems is most people's bodies is still digesting food at 2 and 3 and 4 in the morning when it wants to be recycling old cells, recycling disease cells out of our body, doing like the most important work of the day. Truthfully, your body is doing the most important work of the day while it's sleeping, but unfortunately, most bodies are still digesting food. If your body is digesting food, it won't do anything else. It is going to it's going to prioritize that. So that's always going to be the thing it does. It's going to be trying to regulate your blood sugar. So when Megan said carbs, for example, no one needs carbs after like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, unless you're going to do like a big workout where you need to fuel up. Most people do not need carbs. So lay off the carbs. And what I mean is like complex carbs. You don't need popcorn on the couch at night. You don't need, as delicious as it all is. Trust me, my most favorite thing to do is eat at night. Like I would still love to eat at night, but it is just not good for your sleep. And it's not just for your sleep, it's just not good for your body. So can the carbohydrates at night, because what happens when we're eating carbohydrates at night is our blood sugar it rises, and that actually creates stress on the body. And when our body is stressed, it will always prioritize that. it is always, always, always going to prioritize stress. So before it's going to do anything else, it is going to try and bring our body back into balance. So if you think about this, if you're drinking a glass of wine at 7, 8 o'clock at night, if you're having that bowl of chips or bowl of popcorn, or you had the handful of crackers, again, I'm not judging you guys at all. I've done all these things so many times. But what happens is our blood sugar rises, and at 2 a.m., you wake up and you're like, why am I awake? And I'm wide awake. Well, your body is actually trying to bring your blood sugar back into balance. So just be really aware of that. One of the biggest game changers for me with my health in general, but my sleep, was kind of understanding this science of like what was actually going on in my body. So if my body's trying to do good things for me, and I now know, okay, dinner and done, so my body can actually do what it's supposed to do at night, it made it a lot easier for me. Now, you might feel like you do need a little snack, and there is no judgment there. Go have a balanced snack. Have some protein with some vegetables, or maybe some protein with a little bit of fruit, some protein with some healthy fat. So, maybe a bowl of yogurt with a little bit of nut butter in it, something like that. Like, have a balanced snack, but make it small, and really, really ask yourself, is this a habit? Is this just like a want, or is this a need? Because if you're having balanced meals throughout your day, you really shouldn't need anything at night. And hydration, this is personal for me. I do best if I just stop drinking around 6 o'clock, and then I'm not waking up to go to the bathroom. That's a common thing. Everyone says, well, I have to get up and go to the bathroom. And I get it. If you're drinking all the way till bedtime, you're probably going to have to get up and go to the washroom. So try and have all your water done, the amount of water that you want to drink during the day, and cut it off. And maybe you just take little sips of water during the night if you need it. But that's a way to stop having the need to go to the bathroom. So if you remember anything about the nutrition, though, it's really dinner and done. That is like the easiest kind of slogan that you can keep in your mind. We talk about it here all the time. Like, I turn off the kitchen light and I'm like, dinner and done. Like, that's just kind of what we do. Okay, so those are our tips, and they truthfully, I know they kind of seem so simple, but that's what I worked on really hard for the last year, to really help encourage my sleep. And I truthfully get 7 to 9 hours of sleep, usually 7.5 to 8.5 hours of sleep every single night. Now, one thing that I have used, and Megan mentioned it earlier, and one thing that I use and I have added to my supplement list is something that we have called Last Thing. And this has been the biggest game changer in my sleep. And why I can kind of feel pretty confident talking about it is because there's been a couple months that my husband and we've run out of it. So, when you use something and you think it works really well, but you don't actually know how well it works until you don't have it. That's what's happened to us. So what I can tell you about Last Thing is, when I was struggling with my sleep, I was waking up between 2 and 3 in the morning, and I think that was a blood sugar problem. So once I got the blood sugar thing under control, it got a little bit better, but I still was finding myself waking up with a wandering mind. So waking up, having to go to the bathroom, and then feeling like I was worried or overwhelmed. And then the thoughts would start like spinning in my mind, and I couldn't get back to sleep. Now with Last Thing, I may still have to go to the bathroom, but I fall right back asleep. So I have truly never struggled with getting to sleep. Getting to sleep is not a problem for me. I'm always asleep within 10 to 15 minutes. But it was this waking up in the middle of the night and never being able to get back to sleep that was the real clincher for me that was having me up for 2 and 3 hours during the night. And that just never happens. I get up if I have to get up, go to the bathroom, come back to bed, and it's like magic. 5 o'clock comes and I'm like, whoa, I cannot believe I just slept the whole night. Like that's how I typically feel every single morning. Now, what the biggest thing I noticed was last thing though, is the energy I wake up with in the morning, which is kind of interesting, but my take on it is I'm getting such a good night's sleep. The sleep blend that is inside last thing is allowing me to have such a deep, restful sleep that when I wake up, I have so much energy. And this is the biggest difference that I noticed when we ran out. So it was just actually last month, we ran out for about a week. And that whole week, every single morning, I'm like, here's the biggest difference without last thing. I don't have that energy that I typically have. So last thing is a natural sleep supplement. This is not a sleep medication. It is not a drug. It is made with natural ingredients. And it is made with it's made up of two different blends, a stress defense blend and a sleep support blend. So what it's doing and what its purpose is to help relax your brain, help relax your muscles, help create a better immunity, and create a maximum efficiency for your healthy quality sleep. So helping you get like a really good REM sleep. We're all under so much stress these days, right? Like there's just so much being thrown at us, the environment, our lifestyle, and this sleep and stress support blend is really there to help you quiet your mind, release the day, quiet your body, and get yourself into a restful state. So the sleep support blend is obviously designed to help you fall asleep faster and stay asleep longer. And it's made up of 4 different supplements. So 4 different herbs and plants, one being melatonin. It has a tiny bit of melatonin in it, which again, melatonin is a natural hormone that we have in our body. So they've put a tiny bit in there to help maximize your natural melatonin. It also has hops, which is an ingredient that helps calm you down, and it creates a slightly like sleepy effect. So it really gets you calmed down quickly. GABA is to promote calm and relaxation. And the one ingredient that I just learned about, to be honest, and find really fascinating is marigold extract. And it is actually an extract that helps with that blue light. So no matter what we do, even if we stop scrolling an hour before bed, we are all having so much blue light in our world, right? So marigold extract helps block that and tame it down, which I think is really, really cool. And then the other blend inside last thing is a stress defense blend, and it has ashwagandha in it, which is an amazing adaptogen. If you are in your 40s and you are not having something with ashwagandha in it, you need that. It is like so good for stress management. It has magnesium in it, which we all know that magnesium is so great. And this magnesium that is in last thing is one that is promoting calmness. There's actually 4 different types of magnesium. So if you're taking magnesium, you want to be really sure what type your body needs. And for promoting sleep, you want this type of magnesium. And it has lemon balm in it and L-theanine, which is, they are both to calm and relax and wind you down. So in tests, 92, so people, were given last thing and they tried it, and it's certainly not just, you don't have to take just mine and Megan's word for it, but 92% reported improvement in their sleep. 80% of people reported staying asleep, which is often the thing that drives people crazy. And 89% of the people that use this said they had way better restful nights and wake times. So That is one thing that I have added to my own routine, and it has been a game changer. Like, we don't leave home without it. It's kind of our joke. We don't leave home without our last thing. I'll let you take it, Megan, and kind of share your story with last thing too.
Yeah, I'll just share very quickly. I mean, Michelle just went over so many incredibly helpful things. Like, did you guys just learn a ton? Because I sure did. So thank you, Michelle. Um, if you are maybe more of a skeptic, like I can be, then maybe my story will resonate a little bit with you because when I heard about this product, I was like, I sleep fine. That's what I said. I sleep fine. I don't have any issues sleeping. I fall asleep. I wake up a couple times to pee. I get up, when my alarm goes off and carry on with the day. Like I feel fine. And I really didn't want to become like dependent on a sleep aid. So that was like really sort of like something that I was a little bit skeptical because what happens if I don't take it? Does that mean that I'm not going to be able to sleep? Because I already sleep fine. So I don't want to mess up what I already have going on for myself. But then I started to learn a little bit more about it. And still, I wasn't convinced to start using it. However, I started experiencing something a couple of months ago called mind chatter. And if you've ever experienced that, it is incredibly annoying. And I don't know if it's just because circumstances in my life kind of changed and a new season was upon myself, but I found that at night, my little brain just kept going and like chit-chatting and chattery box all night long. And it was like I was kind of in and out of sleep. And it was so annoying, so irritating. So if you've ever experienced that, well, I hear you. It's horrible. And this went on for like a couple of weeks. And finally I decided, all right, well, maybe I should just use this last thing because I heard the Leslie's calling it racing brain. Yes, like there's so many ways to describe it. But when I heard about last thing calming that mind chatter, I was like, oh my gosh, that's it. I started taking last thing. I have not had any of that mind chatter. Thank goodness. Now, the other things that I've noticed with that, my sleep is the same-ish. I still fall asleep well. I'm still up like one or two times to pee. I drink a lot of water, always have. And I still wake up at the same time of day, but I'm waking up feeling so much better than I have in years. I am waking up with more energy. I still have that moment of like, I don't want to get out of bed, but I feel like alive and awake. And that gets me just like going right away. And that to me, you can't even put a price tag on that because that changes your whole day when you can start out feeling alive and awake and vibrant and excited for your day. It's a game changer. So that plus the mind chatter really was a total game changer for me. I like am hooked on last thing and coming from someone who didn't have any sleep issues, I'm really like a big fan of this natural sleep supplement. So I know that some people were saying, well, where can we get this last thing? I think that was really the only question I had. Michelle, did you see some questions in there? Maybe you were able to answer some of them, but so as far as last thing, that is where we can help you. We can obviously help you create routines when you're inside of our community, but if you're just looking for something like a natural sleep supplement, that is where we can come in. So your body partner, whoever invited you to this workshop, will be able to hook you up with last thing. Now let's just talk about the elephant in the room because everybody always wants to know, yeah, well, how much is this going to cost? So if you are Canadian, a bottle of last thing is $59.95. Michelle, do you know how many capsules are in last thing? Like I think they say to take anywhere in between 2 to 3 capsules. And
There's
that,
90 capsules, and
oh, right.
actually, yeah, so there's 90, and I'm going to tell you, it tells you to take 3. I've never taken 3 ever. I usually recommend my people to start with 1, and I landed on 2. So, like, I shouldn't say I've never taken three. I have taken three and tried it and just felt like I didn't need that much. So I landed on two is perfect for me. My husband takes two, my mom takes two, my cousin takes two. Like, but I think it's something that, you know, again, because melatonin is naturally in our body, we have to just like work with our bodies and be aware. So, you know, 90 capsules, two a night, do the math because I can't.
Yeah, so it's you get a nice quantity of it. If you're in the US, it's 49.95. So, you know, 50, $60 for a natural sleep supplement that has high quality ingredients, is tested and certified. Like that to me is really impressive. You know, hopefully our stories help you. Whoever invited you to this call might have their own story with Last Thing, but you can get it through us. It will arrive at your door probably within like 5 to 7 days. And you can be experiencing some lovely sleep in no time.
Awesome. Yeah, and definitely like lean in to those other habits, right? This call was not just all about Last Thing, although it's obviously been a game changer for us and there's lots of people in the comments sharing their story as well. But it's the combination, right? It's never just going to be the one thing. So maybe you took some notes or you can watch this recording and, you know, take one of those tips and work on them. It was not this is not meant to be like, oh my god, I have to do all that stuff at once. Not at all. Maybe start working on dinner and done, or start working on creating like a better sleep wake cycle, and do one at a time and just layer them on, and you will start seeing improvements. And then that makes you want to do more. That's the cool thing. Every time you improve your lifestyle in one little way, it makes you want to continue because you start thinking, whoa, I didn't realize how much better I could feel. And I think that's what I did when I started layering on all these things. I was like, oh, I have more energy. I can do more. I feel better. And my brain is clearer. And you start wanting to do more. So
And I think too, like something that I always do when I learn new things is I'm like, all right, I'm going to do an experiment. Like I'm just going to experiment for 30 days and I'm going to add in this product, or I'm going to add in this habit, and literally just treat it as an experiment and just think, all right, I'm just going to see what happens, and have really no attachment to the outcome, because then you have more fun with it. It's not this stressful thing, and it's just simply an experiment. You're just gathering some data for yourself and seeing what works and seeing what doesn't, and also seeing what's doable for you. Because some of these things, based on where you're at in your life and in the season that you're in, aren't going to be doable for you. But there's certainly going to be at least one or two things that you can implement and do yourself a little experiment. Have your day one that you're going to start something and reevaluate in 30 days and see what worked.
awesome. All right, you guys, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this, and make sure you come next week. We are actually going to do these wellness workshops every single Monday night at 7:30. Every single one of them will be a different topic, a different story. But we hope at the end of every single one, you will get a piece of value that you can use and implement into your own life. So we hope to see you here next week. Thanks, guys.